to see what's coming next and to be like, how do I know that I'm going to like that? You know what? I don't know. So I'm going to throw myself on the floor. Seems to work. So as adults, we don't get to do that. I mean, I've seen some adults metaphorically throw themselves on the floor, but, and you might know some too. I'm not going to out any here on this podcast tonight. We'll save that for later. But transitioning from one thing to another is hard, especially if you do know that the next thing is not as fun, not as glorious, not as much light. But I guess you need to learn how to see the positive, the benefit in a bit of darkness. And so I'm thinking of darkness right now, really like in my mind, I see a plug in the wall and it's bright. I mean, I see the stage that is my home. I see the stage and it's lit and it's live and it's loud. And the artists are there. And for a moment, more than a moment, an afternoon, you get the high of relating, learning, interacting, eye contact, movement. And then the show is over and the plug gets pulled. And after that, you know that people have to go home. The artist has to leave. You have to say goodbye to your guests. And you need to go home and go to bed and wake up the next morning, and none of that is going to be there. So what I'm describing is really just, it's a high. It's a high of happiness, joy. We all have those. We sometimes have them that we just can't plan. We haven't planned for them and they happen and we roll with them. In my line of work, I know they're coming and I know when they're over. And it doesn't make it any easier when the event is over, or if you have to say, after you have to say goodbye to someone or go home. But you do learn how to be in that darkness and how to feel the feelings of emptiness and loss for a moment, and then process how, or process the event, it's light and it's dark as a whole, and move forward to the next one. And I don't know if you can identify with that, in things that are in your life. I'm thinking of like a wedding or even a funeral. I hate to get dark, but I want to get real. A funeral is a celebration of someone's life, and it involves, it's like a party, it's everyone comes and everyone is there, but there's also that letdown when everybody goes. So those highs and lows of life is what I'm saying. And I don't want to get too detailed or describe anything that I don't know. Okay, I've been to several funerals, but that's a touchy subject. I can only describe what I know. And so balance comes from understanding that the highs and the lows are never permanent and they cycle. And the high is going to come back again and the low is going to come back again. And you need to teach yourself that without that lull, you don't have time to plan the next event or the next beautiful thing. So you have to let it go. You have to let it just go down the river and let the next thing flow in. So that's balance to me right now. However, what's balanced to one person is not to another, and it's a very personal situation. So I am not going to ignore the fact that this is different for everyone. I'm a formal yoga teacher. Formal. I say that because I haven't taught in a couple years, but And when I took my yoga training, I didn't have a tough time, but I just had to check myself and, just remind myself that I could teach in my own way, which I ended up doing. I really am not a fan of the, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm not going to sell you herbal supplements. I'm not going to tell you that if you just breathe, things will be better. I am a realist. I teach, or I taught, from very grounded experiences. Never would I pretend to be anywhere above anyone in my classes. In fact, I would always remind them about how I was on solid equal ground, if not, chasing or trying to keep up with them. And I always reminded my students how much I learned from teaching them. And that was a God's honest truth. And so if you don't know this yet about me, I'm going to tell you again that what you get from me is 100% authenticity and truthfulness. And oftentimes that doesn't work in my favor. But for the most part, it works in my favor because I feel that I can sleep at night knowing that, if you approach me in the street and you had to tell me something about yourself, reveal a skeleton in your closet, I would never ever judge. And I know in my heart that I wouldn't. If you came to me and said, oh God, I don't know. Now I'm thinking on the flip side too, like people who have way more than I do, I've got really good friends who have lots and lots of money, and their jobs take them all over the world, and they live a life that I will never, ever know. Nor in that situation, nor do I'm not jealous, I'm not envious. So I guess what I'm saying is by being real, looking for that thread of humanity in everything, and just in everyone, not everything. That thread of humanity that runs through all of us, that grounds us all and brings us to our knees. We're all going to suffer from the same human ailments. So I try to find common ground there. And I firmly place my feet there and I stay there. I don't often, I catch myself if ever I'm floating off into space. So always self-regulating. Balance. That's another word for balance. So, gosh, yeah, there you go. Staying right on brand here tonight. So anyway, I used to teach yoga and I loved my students that I love teaching. I don't do it now because I have a full-time job doing other things. So what I was saying, I realize that some folks will never find balance in their lives. And I would argue that finding balance and being grounded is more of a privilege-based feeling. And I wouldn't want anyone to feel bad about being, quote, privileged, the word I just used. But I would ask that people who are away at their yoga retreats and have time to breathe, and who are thinking of, and they are people, in my heart, I know that you are practicing yoga and are truly loving others. And that's true. But loving others doesn't always mean that you understand the other fully, nor should you. And that's an endeavor for people who don't have full-time jobs or children. honestly. But you can make an effort to maybe see someone in your community, see them for who they are, and see their struggles and how that might be a barrier to them in the realm of happiness. And so with that in mind, what was I saying? I wish you could just come out of my podcast and tap me on the shoulder and be like, hey, you went off track 3 minutes ago. This is what you were talking about. Oh yeah. Balance, privilege. Not everyone is going to find it. Not everyone is going to be pleasing to you. Their lives, the way they live them, are not going to agree with yours. And I'm just here to say that balance and peace is hard to come by in today's day or today's environment. And so as you're working towards balance personally, take a look at the world outside yourself and see the ways that the community or the world is imbalanced. And I would actually pull back on that and I guess you could look at the world in certain realms, but, broadening your thoughts too large, that doesn't help anybody. Stay focused, I guess, is what I'm saying. Right now, what's out of balance is our use of plastics. We all know that. But it's tipped so far that it's really hard to stop that snowball from rolling down that hill and just gathering more steam. So many metaphors, God. But you know what I'm saying. So we're really out of whack when it comes to that. And I was thinking the other day, telling the kids how they were asking me about Pop-Tarts. And I said, to hell with Pop-Tarts. Those things are disgusting. When I was a kid, we ate what was called toaster strudels. You pop those babies in the toaster and they get all warm, and then you clip open your plastic frosting pouch and you squeeze it on there, and you've got a healthy breakfast right there. And then I thought, how many plastic frosting packets did I use? How many plastic frosting packets did my brother use? How many plastic frosting packets did you use? I mean, it's an equation, and the sum of all the parts is fucking scary. If you think about how much plastic comes out of your one household, I have a vision when I think about plastic waste of, imagine aliens came down from outer space and they were giants and they were like, hey, what is this? And they picked up Walmart. No, they didn't pick up Walmart. They picked up the Dollar General. And they picked up the Dollar General and they turned it over and they just shook out all the shit that's on the shelves. And all that stuff just went into the river all at once. Imagine the mess that would be. Imagine not to mention the aliens that came out of the sky and knocked over Dollar General. I mean, that's shocking in its own right. But if you think about all the plastic stuff that came out of Dollar General and is now clogging up the Connecticut River, we would be appalled, shocked even. But that's not going to happen. I'm not Alex Jones. I don't believe in lizard people. Aliens are not going to come down. I mean, let's say a natural disaster will come and blow apart these box stores, and this shit is going everywhere. And I guess what my point is with all this silliness is the fact that is happening. No one's going to come and turn over Dollar General and dump it out like your backpack on the floor or your desk back in the day when the teachers would dump it on the floor and make you pick it up. No one is going to do that. That's not going to happen. What happens is there's a constant flow, like a river, of these items going onto the shelves and people taking them out, buying them, buying just random plastic shit for, novel, or what is that word for